Hello, I'm Willie Bragg. Welcome to another edition of the Willie Bragg Show. Vacation time is almost over. Life will be back to negative normal for me tomorrow. So this is part of since I'm still on vacation, this is part of my erratic work schedule, live stream schedule rather. And tomorrow the live stream will be back at 8 o'clock like it's supposed to be on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. That's how it's going to be. That is how it's going to be. So, and Braglands on Tuesday at 5 p.m. every Tuesday. So there's a lot of things that are going on right now, which is like, for example, tonight's live stream is a two-parter. So this is kind of like part one, and there's going to be a follow-up live stream after this one because it all relates. So let's talk about the 2024 election. So as you all know, and I keep saying it, I keep putting it like that, as you all know. But as you all know, it's one big club and none of us are in it, right? Or none of us ain't in it, as George Carlin used to say. Donald Trump, Kamala Harris are the ones facing each other. And while it looks like on the surface, and no, they do dislike each other. We know they dislike each other, but the the agenda that they both have is not that different. They're both propped up by corporate America. They're both propped up by the military industrial complex. They're both are in unison when it comes to the wars. They're both in unison when it comes to to the basic day to day the day to day things which are wrong about the United States. So um, neither of them really have anything to offer. They neither of them have anything to offer to me as a voter, which is why I'm not going to vote for either one of them. I reject. I am not with him, and I'm not with her. In other words, so I will not submit myself to the lesser evil politics. I will not. And anybody who submits themselves to lesser evilism without even considering a third party choice, I mean, I have to say, what the hell's wrong with you? You know, I'm not. I mean, that's what I have to say. I have to ask that question. So, before we get started, let's go ahead with the greetings for everybody here. Miguel, how are you doing? Desert Mathis, how are you today? We got tag team cage match, Bobby Donnie, Kamala, Jesse. That's pretty much sums it up. Snipe Hunter, how are you doing today? I am doing okay. I am doing swell. I just don't want to go back to work tomorrow. How you doing, Dr. Nick Riviera? Yeah, I'll catch up on due dissonance later on. I was taking a nap this afternoon. Um, just trying to milk as much of the nap as possible for while I am still on vacation mode. So so there's that. Let's see. Um, let's see. I'm going to the Heartlands Media Patreon. So if when it launches tonight, just heads up. No problem, no problem. Still glad that you're here just the same. So we're all in the same boat trying to stop the duopoly. So we got a lot of friendly competition out there, folks. We do. And let's see, who do we have out here? Okay. Chuck Intergalactic UFO Show. All righty. All right. Let's see. We got who else we got? We got Warren. Hey, how are you doing? I guess there's not going to be a show tomorrow. It looks like, but I understand Blue Moon Red Wine's going to be on the 28th of August. So that's something to look forward to. It's always great here, listening to Lucy share her insights about the world and all that. So, okay, so there we got it. And anybody else who's in the chat didn't say hello, I'm going to say hello to y'all. Don't be shy. So let's get started. As I said, we got an election coming up. So we're getting that out of the way. Getting that out of the way right now. Oh, by the way, somebody made a comment about my shirt before we get started. Who made a comment? I saw that. Dr. Nick, thank you. Thank you about the shirt. I've had this for about 2 years, I think maybe 2 years. Yeah. Anyway, let's see. Election time. Kamala Harris, Donald Trump. Nothing to be excited about. But Robert Kennedy was running as a Democrat initially. And the Democrats did him wrong, as they did Marianne Williamson, as they did Dean Phillips, as they did Cenk Uygur, and anybody else who ran in the Democratic primaries that decided to challenge the status quo in their own way. The Democratic Party decided they were going to be anti-democratic. It's not a very good. It's not very good optics. If I was within the duopoly, I would be like, what the fuck? Even if I was supportive of Biden, I would be what the fuck. But I wouldn't have been supportive of Biden inside the Democratic Party. I would have been looking at a more left-wing choice. And still, at the end of the day, I do consider Robert F. Kennedy to the left of Biden. It's not saying a whole lot, but I do still think he did it, in spite of what we all know about him already with the endorsement. He decided that he was going to run as an independent. And I was kind of glad that Robert Kennedy did this, because it's kind of like, right now, the two-party system has failed people and over, and it gave people a chance to really explore the ideas of a third party. But every time that it seems like every time there is a serious look at a third party, something happens that every tiny step forward that the third party movement makes, there's like 3 steps backwards. And there was 3 steps backwards this past week with Robert Kennedy deciding to drop out of the 2024 presidential race. And what did he do? He decided to go ahead and of course, endorse Donald Trump for president. Now, I have to take this a little different from some people on the left. I don't care that I care less that he endorsed Donald Trump than the fact that he gave up his third party run. I'm not popping champagne corks that he endorsed Donald Trump, but that's really a secondary issue. That issue takes a backseat to the fact that he decided to go and back Donald Trump. Now, my understanding is that he basically had a price. He offered himself in the Harris administration, what would become the Harris administration if she wins in November, a spot in the administration, and they turned down the offer, which was kind of stupid on her part. Donald Trump basically agreed to it. Now, on the bright side of this, if Trump wins, which I'm not a Trump fan, but if Trump wins, the bright side to a Robert Kennedy, strangely enough, would be that he will have a listening voice of something that's left of center in the administration. If Trump is the winner, because on some issues, Robert Kennedy is still good. Now, I don't want to sound like I'm being Jimmy Dore talking about Robert Kennedy and Elon Musk, this and this. There was a tweet that was taken out of context that Jimmy Dore came out with a couple of days ago that sounded like it was an endorsement of Trump when he was actually trying to make a point. I should have put down that tweet as an example, but you know how it is. If Jimmy Dore says something, there's a lot of people that are going to sit there and take it out of context, and they need to understand the context of what he means when he's trying to make a point. Sometimes he uses sarcasm, and sometimes the sarcasm has a trolling effect and has a triggering effect on people. And obviously it did, because Post Left Watch on Twitter, who's a big asshole on Twitter, decided to go and use that against him. Of course, when Post Left Watch posts anything, he needs to change his name to Post Left Watch to Punch Left Watch, because that's all he ever likes to do on Twitter is to punch left, referring to Post Left Watch. And Post Left Watch doesn't like me too much, by the way. I'm surprised Post Left Watch hasn't blocked me yet. So suffice to say, the thing about it is that I do think that there may be a listening ear, because we have somebody in Robert Kennedy. And again, I wasn't a Robert Kennedy supporter prior to him dropping out, but and I have some issues with Robert Kennedy. I have some major issues with Robert Kennedy. But if you put aside what's wrong with Robert Kennedy, there are some exceptionally good positions that he takes. When Julian Assange was in prison, he's promised to free Julian Assange and give him a full pardon. And that's one thing I would say about Robert Kennedy. Abolishing the Espionage Act of 1917 will be another thing that would be positive. the Ukraine-Russian conflict, Robert Kennedy's spot on that issue. And that was, if there was any reason I was regretful that he left the Democratic Party, was on that issue, because unfortunately it seems like every Democrat supports the Russian-Ukraine conflict, every elected Democrat. I do know Democrats who are actually opposed to that war, too. So there is that. But there are things that are wrong with him that I can't support Robert Kennedy. I mean, he is as fiery of a Zionist as Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. I'm sorry for those that wants to say, well, Kamala Harris is siding with Hamas. Bullshit. Kamala Harris and Donald Trump and Robert Kennedy's position on Israel is identical. They all three suck on Benjamin Netanyahu's cock, and you know that's just Jim Perlman said it best in an interview with Katie Halper, that genocide is where she draws the line as a single issue voter. So she said she's not voting for Kamala Harris. She's voting for Jill Stein, since she's on the ballot in Florida, but her preference is Cornel West. Thing about it is, that's something to hold against him. That hawkish position. He's also on the domestic issues like Medicare for all. He gave a very typical Democrat answer on why we can't have it. In 2016, he chose Hillary Clinton over Bernie Sanders. In 2020, he chose Joe Biden over Bernie Sanders. So, and yes, a couple of things that Dr. Nick Rivera pointed out. I'm posting it up. I don't want to actually say it because, it's fairly accusatory, but you see it up there. We're going to say his aggressive groping is an issue. We'll say that. And we'll say that about Robert Kennedy. But I will say this when it comes to things about him, where his drawbacks kind of outweighs what some of his positive merits are. But I'm more angry that he gave up his stature as an independent candidate. And some people claim that his candidacy was going to help Trump. Some people claim his candidacy was going to help Biden. I don't think his candidacy would have helped either one of them. I think he would have actually drawn votes away from both candidates for different reasons, of course. One reason that they will have in common to draw votes away from I said Biden, Kamala Harris and Trump, would be the issue of the name, the Kennedy. You got some Republicans that have admiration for John F. Kennedy, and they want to vote for Kennedy. Strangely enough, they like the Kennedy mystique in spite of being Republican. It's just the oddest thing. But there are Democrats out there that also have this nostalgia of reviving Camelot, the Kennedy family legacy, and they will vote for a Kennedy just because he's a Kennedy. And so I personally think that the Kennedy label is overrated. Of all the Kennedys that were running all these years, his father, the original Robert Kennedy, the Senator Robert Kennedy of New York, the one that was Attorney General during the Johnson administration, that was assassinated in 1968. That Robert Kennedy was the Robert Kennedy of all the Kennedys, and he was still questionable in some areas, But of all the Kennedys that ran, he might have been the Kennedy I respected the most. But the rest of the Kennedy families were pretty sleazy. And the Kennedy that ran against Senator Ed Markey in Massachusetts in the primaries, I think like 2 years ago, I can't stand him. But anyway, and he's like the most right-wing Kennedy of them all. I would say too, Robert Kennedy's right, although people would disagree with me at this point. But suffice to say that apparently this is going to be a big booster for the Donald Trump campaign in the year 2024, because his campaign was kind of in trouble. And now that the conventions are over, you will see the aggressive ads, and I guess there'll be maybe a debate, maybe 2 debates, maybe as many as 3. We don't know. Take place. I don't know how many debates there's going to be, tell you the truth. And we'll see what happens in the next 2 months, and a few days. So, in that regard. But I'm disappointed with Robert Kennedy for giving up his stature as an independent candidate, is basically what I'm trying to say, overall. So there is that. So hold on a second here. Let's talk about another person. And that person would be no other than Jesse Ventura, who decided to endorse Kamala Harris. And the problem with Jesse Ventura, and here's the thing about Jesse Ventura. He's an interesting person because, he was, I don't know the name of the town he was the mayor of in Minnesota, but he became governor in 1998 with the Reform Party. That was the Reform Party of H. Ross Perot. And with this, and the thing about him is that he had a slightly more admirations among conservatives than he did liberals and progressive initially. And a friend of mine said this. A friend of mine that lived in Minnesota at the time, who was a Protestant minister in Montana for United Church of Christ. And he's been on this show before. Dwight Welch. He said that when he was living in Minnesota, that and he's LGBTQ, by the way. He said that that when he became governor of Minnesota, he expanded LGBTQ rights for the community, and he was really impressed. That took him that he didn't vote for him, but then he was really impressed with that. Then he did a couple of other progressive things, along with some really odd little libertarian things here and there. So it's kind of a mixed bag, but he probably did more left of center things than he did, let's say, perhaps libertarian things as the governor of Minnesota. And of course, shortly thereafter, the Reform Party kind of shattered apart because Pat Buchanan was the 2000 Reform Party candidate for president, which I have a conspiracy theory about that. I think that the Republicans allowed Pat Buchanan to be the Reform Party candidate for president, knowing that he would actually probably end up destroying the Reform Party in the process. And of course, the Reform Party pretty much, even though it kind of exists today, is really just a ghost of its former self. It's pretty much a shattered institution today. So Jesse Ventura became pretty much independent, leaning into the Ron Paul libertarian territory. Not necessarily the worst kind of ideologue in the world, although I'm not an economic libertarian. I'm not. But I have respect for Ron Paul, but I'm not into his libertarian economics. But on some social issues and some foreign policy issues, Ron Paul is pretty good. And he's actually said some nice things about the gray zone on Liberty Report. So there is also that. And so Ron Paul will surprise you on a few things. So he went on that kick for a while. But by 2016, he kind of tiptoe away from the Ron Paul movement and kind of went in and endorsed Bernie Sanders for president. And then in 2020, he sought the Green Party nomination for president, or tried to. And I'm not exactly, actually, Shane Coughlin, who was here a few days ago helping me co-host Braglands, explained what happened with regard to Jesse Ventura and why he did not become why he what happened with regard to the presidential aspirations of Jesse Ventura. Has to do with his health care coverage. It has to do with that and some of the internal turmoil within the Green Party between the Jill Stein faction and the Howie Hawkins faction and that sort of thing. So I know that Jesse Ventura voted for himself, wrote his name in 2020, but he voted down the line in the Minnesota Green Party ballot line. I think he was living in Mexico, but I think he voted by proxy, absentee ballot for the Green Party line. I think that's how that worked. But anyhow, over the years, Jesse Ventura was not just consistently anti-war and pro-LGBTQ and against capital punishment, and just taking on really, really good positions, and being harshly critical of the two-party system. Because I've been wanting Jesse Ventura to run for president for the longest time. He's been getting very anti-capitalist, which also went a long way with me. And so I was just thinking, man, this guy is too perfect to run for president. Why doesn't he just do it? And then about 2-3 weeks ago, it was just snatched from under the rug. All the respect I had for Jesse Ventura, and I still like Jesse Ventura. I guess I still respect him, but I am disappointed with him because he decided to go and endorse Kamala Harris, which means, the independence that he once had was put into question. And here's another caveat I would like to add to it. He wanted to vote for her for the dumbest reasons. I have voted for women candidates for president before. I have supported women for office before. I am okay with that. There's nothing controversial about wanting to see a woman or somebody of color win an election. But you just cannot sit there and vote for somebody on the basis of on identity. Nico House actually said it best. You don't vote for somebody. You don't vote for somebody because of their identity, but you also don't vote for against somebody because of their identity. And basically, what he's saying is policy is what matters. What do you have to offer to the people is what matters. It's not what you are, it's what do you represent, as far as trying to do better for everybody. Because when we all do well, we all do well. And so, I was called a racist in 2021. I don't live in California, but when the referendum, Gavin Newsom took place, I made a comment, and a conservative attacked me when I said this. I said that if I lived in California, I would have voted for the referendum and voted for the Green Party candidate, one of the Green Party candidates running for governor, because I don't like Gavin Newsom. Well, he said, "Oh, you're just being a racist because you're not going to vote for Larry Elders for governor." And I'm like, I told this person, "Look here, motherfucker. That shit's not going to work with me. It may work with some wimpy ass, candy ass, Democrat out there. That shit doesn't work with me because I don't vote for somebody because of their ideology. And this is the kind of person that will sit there and criticize somebody for voting for somebody on the basis of identity, and then So all of a sudden, some people on the right wing, these right wing Republicans, will present a minority candidate and say, "Oh, you better vote for this candidate, and if you don't vote for this candidate, you're the sexist, you're the racist." I'm like, shut the fuck up when I run across some of these condescending assholes, you know. I just kind of like, one, I fuck both parties, and two, don't you dare. When I don't engage in identity politics, don't dare turn the circles and the wagons against me on that one, because I will burn you a new asshole if you do, you know? So, I mean, I was fucking pissed when he did that shit. But anyway, suffice to say that for Jesse Ventura to do this when she is pretty damn right wing herself. I mean, that's just nuts. Now, when I say that she's right wing, I don't mean that Kamala Harris is Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't mean that she's Lauren Boebert or Sarah Palin even. I don't mean that, but she's too right wing for me. Larry Elder's too right wing for me. Gavin Newsom is too right wing for me. Yeah, I mean, and that's what it comes down to. If you don't support some basic things that I want you to support, I can't support you. And if you can't be for Medicare for all, and if you can't be against these wars, and I mean, if you can't take a stand on genocide, and you can't take a stand on taking up the military-industrial complex, and you can't take a stand on trying to abolish the death penalty, or things like providing free college, or fighting effectively for some like a real Build Back Better. And these are not extreme issues at all. If you can't be for these things, I can't vote for you. It's as simple as that. So I expected better from Jesse Ventura. I still like Jesse Ventura. I mean, I like the fact that he pissed off a bunch of people that needed to be pissed off. I mean, over the years. But I'm definitely disappointed with him. I'm equally as disappointed with him as I am with Robert Kennedy for what he does. I mean, and maybe slightly more, because now that I think about it, because ideologically, I'm definitely more in line with Jesse Ventura than I am with Robert Kennedy. Because I mean, with Robert Kennedy, I knew that Robert Kennedy, even very early on, I knew that Robert Kennedy was a fairly down the line Democrat. So, there is that. And whereas at least with Jesse Ventura, his politics has been improving more and more over the years, and some people are going to be like, well, doesn't that mean he grifted? He may have had a change of heart on certain things, I know he was never like an asshole on a lot of the political issues of the day, but he seemed to have improved and started to say a lot of things that resonated with me very well. But then again, like anybody else, you're not supposed to look at politicians and make what they call heroes out of politicians, because they will disappoint you every time. And this is why when it came to Tim Walz, who I still will tell you to this day, he is the best governor, or was the best governor of all the 50 states of a state. Of any states, he was the best state governor. He's not going to have effect on policy of Kamala Harris. And again, I found out there's some areas he's not as progressive as I thought he was as well. So I had a little bit of a rude awakening about Tim Walz as well. I want to sound like I'm being contrarian and trying to be ideologically pure than thou. That's not what I'm trying to do. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to clarify my red line when it comes to voting, and who to support and who not to support. So there is that. So Again, I'm kind of disappointed with Ventura in that regard. So anyway, I'll go ahead and make my quick greetings to everybody here, and make sure nobody's forgotten. Steve Harris, how are you doing today? Or Laurel, how are you doing today? Um, oh, you are doing a show tomorrow, Warren. I am glad to hear. I am very, very glad to hear you'll be doing a show tomorrow. Okay, I got that to look forward to. So there is that. And Democrats are schizophrenic. Yeah, they certainly are. They certainly are. Yes, they are. Yeah, I had to learn that kind of the hard way. Yes, they do. Um, Prism, the 19th. How are you doing today? Okay. Daniel's Berry Sports Highlights. Great seeing you here. Politics. Hey, how are you doing today? Great show earlier. Jesse Ventura thing kind of surprised me. Uh, Check out Dustin's channel, Politics. If you go on my YouTube channel, you will see his page. Actually, hold on a second. I will go ahead and give you a plug right now. Let me go ahead and try to find your page here. Yeah, you should go on Politics. And you follow him. He's Road Grimes on Twitter. So I'll go ahead and try to get those two links down for you all. Okay, Politics. The name of the show is Politics, and I'll go ahead and put this up. It's called Politics. It's Politics dash with Road Grimes is the URL when you go on YouTube. So let me do this here. Okay. All right. Let me get his channel shown for y'all. There you go. That's right there. That's his channel. Be sure to check it out, and I'll go ahead and put this on the chat line for you all to look at the URL. I'm such a nice guy, folks. So let me do this. All right. Okay. All right. And let me go ahead and there you go. There you go. Go ahead and subscribe to his channel, and there you have it. So yeah. Where was I getting at? I was saying hello to everybody else too. Greetings to everyone. We have getting back here. Yeah, I feel like he's scared like Chomsky. That's a good way to put it, Warren. I do. Um that's yeah, because Chomsky's been getting a little bit on the downside lately. He's been disappointing when he calls Medicare for all candy and was kind of like squeamish against force a vote. Johnny Ringo said to vote for or against anyone because of their sex is equally ridiculous. Yeah, I mean, it is. I mean, I want to vote for people that's going to make your life better. That's what it comes down to. So, Desert Manta says here, by the way, that's a great shirt. Oh, yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. CP Bacon for Prez says, big shout out to Willie and Ella D's. Okay, absolutely. And I don't want to forget anybody. So I'm scrolling through here, making sure. It looks like that's pretty much everyone here. So right now, I'm going to sign off here in a quick moment, and I'm gonna go and be back. Probably I put down 11:15, but more than likely I'll be back around 11, which is about less than 20 minutes from now, and to do another video. It'll be part 2 on this subject on Robert Kennedy, and I have quite a few things to say there. If you like what you heard, please press like and comment. Comment any way you disagree with what I have to say. Feel free to share the content on this channel. As a First Amendment absolutist, it's my duty to inform you to create your own platform and utilize it because we're the muckrakers of our time. Also, remember to subscribe to the Willie Bragg Show on all my platforms here, Reject Corporate Media, and announcements. And this is what I have to say regarding to announcements. Willie Bragg Show, Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays at 8 p.m. Willie Bragg Show, Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, 8 p.m. Tuesdays, we're having Braglands back at 5 p.m. So just want to let you all know. I'll conclude this video by saying, once again, pardon Julian Assange, free and pardon Snowden, free Palestine, free healthcare, and free speech absolutism. Let it rain. Take care. I will talk to you all soon. See you in a few minutes. I go and take myself a quick drink break. Bye-bye. Oh, and just in case you want to know what I meant by vegetable rights and peas, it's a line I got from a TV show called The Young Ones in the 1980s. So I'll talk to you all in a few. Bye-bye.